The following is an audio recording of an excerpt from The Siege of Boston by Alan French. This passage describes the Boston Massacre, events that followed a verbal fight begun by a Boston rope maker against an English soldier. But the affray was of small proportions and soon over. The actual outbreak originated in a quarrel between a barber's boy and a sentry, stationed in King Street below the east end of the townhouse. Boys and men gathered, the sentry called out the guard, fire bells were rung, and the crowd increased. The captain of the guard was not the man for the emergency, said Henry Knox, afterward General and Secretary of War. I took Captain Preston by the coat and told him for God's sake to take his men back again, for if they fired his life must answer for the consequence. He replied he was sensible of it, or knew what he was about, or words to that purpose, and seemed in great haste and much agitated. The gathering still increased. There was crowding and jostling, snowballs and possibly sticks were thrown. The soldiers grew angry, and the officer uncertain what to do. The soldiers, testified John Heckling, assumed different postures, shoving their bayonets frequently at the people. One in particular, pushing against my side, swore he would run me through. I laid hold of his bayonet and told him that nobody was going to meddle with them. Not more than 10 seconds after this, I saw something white, resembling a piece of snow or ice, fall among the soldiers, which knocked the end of a firelock to the ground. At that instant the word fire was given, but by whom I know not, but concluded it did not come from the officer aforesaid, as I was within a yard of him, and must have heard him had he spoken it. But am satisfied, said Preston, did not forbid them to fire. I instantly leaped within the soldier's bayonet as I heard him cock his gun, which that moment went off. I, thinking there was nothing but powder fired, stood still till I saw another gun fired, and the man since called a tux to fall. I then withdrew about 2 or 3 yards. During this, the rest of the guns were fired, one after another. When I saw 2 more fall, I further declare that I heard no other affront given them than the huzzahing and whistling of boys in the street. After the firing, other soldiers were summoned to the spot, and more townspeople appeared. The soldiers, say the official narrative, were drawn up between the State House and Main Guard, their lines extended across the street and facing down King Street, where the town people were assembled. The first line kneeled, and the whole of the first platoon presented their guns ready to fire, as soon as the word should be given. For some time the appearance of things were dismal, the soldiers outrageous on the one hand, and the inhabitants justly incensed against them on the other. Both parties seemed disposed to come to action.